Now, as the country prepares for the local government elections in November, the Electoral Commission is hosting a national workshops to guide political parties and prospective independent candidates on the submission of candidate nominations and supporters lists ahead of the polls. Let's talk about this further now. We speak to the IEC's General Manager for Electoral Operations, Mr. James Aphane. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Media training for journalists are now, of course, completed. Let's talk about the training for political parties. What does it entail and when does it start?
Good evening, Bongiwe. Thanks for the opportunity and good evening to the viewers. The program has already started, Bongiwe. We've started with the national training that occurred last week, and we are beginning on Monday to continue to train all those that are interested in participating in this election as long as they are registered as political parties. Because as for the NPLC members, we share with them from time to time. NPLC is National Political Liaison Committee. But this time around, we invite everyone who is registered to be part of this process where we make sure that people are informed what the requirements are. And we also provide an online facility so that the candidate nomination this time around is as seamless as it was in 2024.
And when you look at, for example, the past, right, we've seen, while largely things went smoothly, but there was some unhappiness among other political parties as far as their own lists were concerned. So I suppose starting this early with the trainings and taking them through the processes of submissions is aimed at curbing some of the concerns.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you are indicating that parties have got their own issues with their own lists. So some of them I've seen, they also started because it doesn't start when we open the capture process, which we have done last week. People can now, as parties or independents, submit their candidature. But as we indicated, political parties, they've got their own processes to make sure that they've got the best candidates to participate in this election. And the reason we started early, if you recall, this is the second round, and we promised when we did this interventions last year that we're going to come again with a second round, is indeed to make sure that nobody is going to be saying, I did not know. And secondly, nobody's going to say, I've run out of time, because time has been made, we made sure that time is available as early as now.
And what then about the system in and itself? Is it, has it been improved? Because I remember in the past, for example, some of the parties would say that the system kept on freezing and then the information that the administrators would have then put into the system appears to have been lost. So have some of those back-end issues been resolved?
I think as a point of departure, it's very important to indicate that the system never froze because we've got data to back this up. And as a statistics to share, in the last election, NPE is the closest to refer to. We've had 97% of all those people that submitted candidacy doing it online. Because when you say the system, you're referring to the online candidate nomination system. People still have got an opportunity to do it manually, and only 3% did manually. What it is referred to as the system freezing, Bongiwe, is wherein the system is designed to close at 5 o'clock as provided for in the election timetable. So exactly at 5 o'clock, the system will close. If a candidate or a party representative is going to be capturing up until the time we close, the system will obviously close. So that's what those are the complaints that we've received in the past. And I know we've been taken to task, and in all those cases where people challenged us, it was proven that the system performed as designed.
So this training, does it only look at the submissions or the other aspects as well as far as the electoral processes are concerned to try and get even some of those who are new familiar with the systems?
Yes, it does look at various aspects. Starts with the constitutional provisions in terms of the right to vote, so we make sure that we protect that right, and also indicates that you cannot just come in and become a candidate. You need to be a registered voter. That's the first starting point. And we also indicate what are the requirements in terms of the support for particularly independent candidates, because they need to have supporters. And for parties, they need to make sure they've got their lists in order. And we also indicate to them what the deposits are that are required. So it's all inclusive to make sure that people are well informed of what is required.
And I want us to talk about the supporters lists and why it's important.
The supporters list was a talking point for NPE because that's the first time this was introduced for national and provincial elections.
Yeah.
For these elections, the supporters are only for the independent candidates. And it's actually there for a reason, to prove that you have support. As a party, obviously, you have proven that you have support, but for the independent candidates, they need to prove that they have support before they participate in this election. Because if you don't, and it's not necessarily to constrain participation, but just to make sure that you end up with people that really want to participate in the election.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to us. And this, of course, is a feature that is brought to you, in fact, by the IEC there as we look at all electoral matters, IEC Election Wednesdays, that as we talk about some of these issues that would be concerning you as far as the voting process is concerned. Mr. James Aphane is the General Manager for Electoral Operations there within the Independent Electoral Commission.